Right, hopefully this one works. So, welcome to the second part of the live on a Sunday. There was just technical issues, too much that I couldn't sort out while we was live. So hopefully you guys are seeing this on this one, and hopefully you found the stream. So let's just make sure we're all set up for it. And hopefully YouTube's allowed it to go through. So remember, if you guys got any questions, please type the question into the chat box, Q semicolon. Let me just show you how that looks like. So it should be a Q semicolon, makes it easier for me to find. And for those of that was on the previous stream that I had to end, just say hello again, type some of your questions and comments in, and let me get those up. I got to apologize for that, but like I said, it's a technical issue that I couldn't sort out while I was live. So I might as well just end it, otherwise it wouldn't be decent. Right, so Daddy UK, welcome to you. Harold TV, welcome back. Blessing, hello, good morning. Khalid, morning. Daddy UK, past my first says Friday from watching your videos. Huge help, my friend. No problem, you are welcome. Let me just come out of this one and go into this one. Right, well done for passing, Daddy UK, and thank you for coming to the live stream and let me know that you've passed. Let me know what your next step is, whether it's going to be a driving lesson or driving test. Becky, I've not seen your name before, so assuming you've got to be silent watcher. There you go. For a little under 3 weeks and passed this Thursday. Thank you. Thank you for breaking your silence, and congratulations on passing your theory test. Please let me know what your next steps are. Ibrahim, good morning to you. And man, thank you. Welcome back. Selena, welcome. Sunshine. Yeah, I saw your comment on the previous one. During the second theory test was on the 7th of April. I'm assuming that's a pass. I thought you said on the last comment it was a fail, but according to your facts here, 47 out of 50 is a pass. 53. If it's a pass, congratulations, Sunshine. Well done. If it isn't, let me know. Just clarify with that, because on your last comment, I think it was a fail. Naomi, good morning to you. Got your theory test on the 21st, which is a couple of weeks away. 18th, 25th. Yeah, a couple of weeks away. So you got at least another live to ask your questions. Blessing. $44 out of 50, 47 out of 75, just on both of them, to be fair, but a pass is a pass, so well done to you, Blessings. What's your next step? 3 more lessons to go, then I'm going to book the big test. Obviously, I'm assuming you take, Duddy, this is, I'm assuming you're taking lessons with a driving instructor. If you're saying you've got a few more lessons to go, and then you're going to book the test, the question for me, if you was my pupil, is why don't you book it now? The waiting time is long, it's hard to find a test date. So if you only got a few more lessons to go, then I would be looking for a test date now. I wouldn't wait till I'm ready, then look, because then you don't know how long after that you're going to get your test. So start looking now. But if your instructor says to do it that way, then obviously go with your instructor. I don't want to overrule your instructor. Khalid had my test on the 24th of the 2nd of February. Had 40 out of 50, so that's 10 questions wrong. 55 out of 75. Right, so the hazard perception is sorted. Just don't neglect that. And then you got a test tomorrow. Wish you luck. February, March, April, May. So that's 3 months. Hopefully, Khalid, you've studied for that. And I do wish you luck with that as well. If you've got any questions while we are here now live, ask away. Let me send you in there tomorrow. Really confident for that test. But I do wish you luck. Please come back next week and let us know how you got on. Adibola, welcome to you. Sanjeev, good morning. Techno, good morning. Oh, right. So you've passed it. I thought on the last stream, I thought I read 42 out of 50. But congratulations anyway, Sunshine. Welcome. And congratulations. I know you started to join the live about 3-4 weeks ago, I believe. So you've passed it now. What are you looking to do next? Driving test or driving lessons? Bailadero. Hopefully I'm saying that right. Got your test tomorrow. Again, I wish you luck with that. Again, please come back next week. Let us know how you got on. First attempt fell. So like I said, perseverance. At least you learn from the first one and pass on the second one. I will say to you guys as well, I know it's disappointing when you fail a theory test or any test to be a matter of fact, but what you got to understand is when you fail, it's just a blip, especially for the theory test anyway, because you can still take driving lessons while you are doing your theory test. For those of you taking your driving lessons, it just means there's just a blip delay that you can't book a driving test. But the point I'm trying to make is it's data. So if you failed it, you got a baseline score. So let's just say you got 41 out of 50. You now know you got 41. So you're capable of getting 41. You just now need to do an extra bit of studying. And you got the data because you got 9 questions wrong, which means it's going to tell you the categories you got the questions wrong in, which means you know the categories to improve on, which means when you go there for the next time round, hopefully you get the result that you require. But like I said, it's just a blip. Yes, it's disappointing. Yes, it's frustration, but it's just a blip and it's data. Because there's a lot of you studying for months and months and months and months and months and scared to take the test. If you don't take it, you can't pass it. That's the way you got to look at it. And then if you take it, there's only 1 or 2 ways it's going to go. It's going to be a pass, or it's going to do it this way around, or it's going to be a fail. But if it's a fail, you got data. If it's a pass, you can move on with your life and go from there. Let me just quickly answer Hafi's question. Right, if you've gone through the questions, what you want to do now is take mock test. Sorry, my headphones like it's really down. Hold on 1 second. What you want to do now, that's better. It's really low. What you want to do now is start taking mock tests. As many mock test papers, depends on your result. If you're passing them, keep taking them. If you're failing them, then you want to start to break it down on why you're failing. There's other reasons than getting the questions wrong. The obvious one is, yes, you're failing because you're getting the questions wrong. But again, you have to go a little bit deeper and ask yourself why you're getting the questions wrong. Are you reading the questions carefully, taking your time, answering too fast? Whatever the reasons are, you need to dig deep and answer that. But yeah, I will start doing mock tests. If you're passing mock tests, then obviously keep taking them. But if you are failing, ask yourself why. If you're using the 4-in-1 app that I recommend, when you click the 50th question and it gives you the breakdown, look at your weakest category and look at your strongest category. Because obviously the strongest category, just leave alone. Don't have to tamper with that. But if it's weak, then you need to probably go back to that particular category and do it that way. So that's what I would start to do. All right, let me do the overview first and get going on this. So multiple choice questions, if just in case you guys don't know how it works, because I'm still getting people in the boot camp not realizing how the theory test works, which is really strange. You're booking a boot camp for the theory test, but you don't know how it works. 50 questions, multiple choice. You've got 4 options. Out of your 50 questions, it's taken from 14 categories. Just in case you guys didn't know, the theory test is made up of 14 different categories, and they take the 50 questions from the 14 categories. It is random. So if there's 10 of you in the room, it's 10 different tests going on. It's not the same question for everybody. And that's one of the reasons why I keep saying study your categories, because you don't know where it's going to get drawn from. Time that you have to do it is 57 minutes to do for 50 questions. I'll be honest with you, unless you've got a learning disability, that's slightly different. But if you haven't got a learning disability, no one really takes 57 minutes. I'm not saying you have to take 57. What I'm saying is take as long as it is needed. Some of you are still going in there taking 15, 20 minutes, like you're under pressure to answer questions and coming out with a fail on top of it. if the question has a lot of words, you probably want to slow yourself down and read the questions and break it down in small chunks to get the meaning of the question. Similar to what we did on Friday in the boot camp. Even though we got to the end of the week, some of them were still reading the question too quickly. And not understanding the question. If you don't understand the question, the answers can lead to, it could be any one of the answers. That's the best way of putting it. So if you don't understand the question, it can be any of the 4 options. So you need to understand the questions inside out. And that's the reason why I say in my videos, understand for questions. If you understand the question, then you know what they're asking. Then you go for the safest option. Hazard perception is 14 videos. 13 of them have a single hazard. I will do a demonstration at the end of the 20 question mock test. You need 44 out of 75 to pass the hazard perception. Your average has to be 3 across the board with that. The answers that you're looking for mainly are safety. If it doesn't lead to safety, it can't be correct. The theory test is black and white, so it's always going to put you in a safe situation to get the safest outcome. On your driving test or driving lessons, it's always going to be a grey area, which is unsafe technically, but you need to turn that grey area into safety for the examiner's point of view. But for the theory test, it's always going to lead you to a safe situation, a safe outcome. Some of the answers lead to a controlled outcome, which is your motorway questions normally and first aid. So if it doesn't lead to safety, it's going to lead to a controlled outcome. And that's the overview of your theory test. Let me just get back to the comments and then we'll start the 20 question mock test. Let's do this one. Yeah, I saw your sorry, first of all, Stephen, congratulations on passing, because I think you was one of the last comments on the last stream. So congratulations on passing your theory test. 61 out of 70 is really high. 75. I don't know any instructors. I'm not from Nottingham. I have no idea. That's going to be a Google search or asking friends and family. You guys can go onto the DVSA website. They do have some instructors' details on there that you may be able to contact as well, directly from the DVSA .gov website with that. Experience. Good morning to you. I've not seen your name before, so welcome to you. First time or silent watcher. Again, similar to what I said to Stephen Blessing, that's going to be a Google search, friends and family, or jump onto the DVSA website. Yeah, when the stream's finished, jump onto the DVSA website. You'd be lucky to see anything. I can't remember how much months they do it in now. I think it's 6 months. I can't remember because, I can't remember how far advanced they do it. But you'd be lucky to jump on the DVSA website for your area, and you'd be lucky to find any dates on it. That's what I'm saying. Start looking now. Monday morning, tomorrow morning, at 6 a.m. if you want to get up that early, they start to release dates every Monday at 6 a.m. There's no guarantee you're going to get any, but that's the time to start looking. Monday morning, 6 a.m. they release new dates. So try that for tomorrow morning. But yeah, start looking now. Sanjeev tested on the 13th, which is, you got there Tuesday. Wish you luck with that, Sanjeev. Again, please come back next week. Let us know how you got on. All right, let's start the mock test and I'll keep up with the comments. My next step is my first driving lesson, but for Wednesday. Wow, first driving lesson. Hopefully it's a 2-hour lesson. Becky. Yeah, the first lesson is really scary for you guys as a driver. But try to relax as best you can. Hopefully you got a decent instructor who will make you feel calm and relaxed on the first lesson. And basically what you're going to learn on the first lesson is controls, the gas, brake. It depends whether you're doing automatic or manual, clutch, gear stick, handbrake, steering wheel, indicators, because you're going to use all of that on your first lesson. You should do moving off and stopping. If it's an hour lesson, you should be able to do moving off and stopping. If you're doing a 2-hour lesson, you should be able to do at least left turns, coming out of junctions or going into junctions. If you're average to a quick learner, you could probably get onto right turns as well. But hopefully that goes well for you. But I will add, this is for all you new drivers out there. Becky, making mistakes is not a bad thing. It's actually a good thing. You make it, you know what to do, and how to deal with it. So when you go for your driving test, if you make it on your driving test, you've been there, done that. So don't be afraid to make mistakes on your lessons. If your instructor starts to scream and shout, then change them. They shouldn't be screaming and shouting at you. But yeah, little tip, don't be afraid to make mistakes. It's a good thing. Right, so let me go on to the mock test, which I need to share my screen. Right, so those of you that are new, let me get my cursor up so you guys can see what I'm pointing at. What you want to do is read the questions. Read the question very carefully. If it's got an image, take a look at the image as well. So at an incident, it's important to look after any casualties. What should you do with them when the area is safe? This is A, this is B, this is C, this is D. If you think it's C, please put the question number and the letter. So 1C if you think it's that answer. Reason for that, there's a delay between me and YouTube, you and YouTube. I would always want to make sure we're on the same question number when I highlight up on screen to give you guys your props. Remember, if you've got a question, please type a Q semicolon so I can see it. And I will keep going through the chat while you guys are answering. Ashley, I'm glad you're excited about your test and not scared of it. I wish you luck with that tomorrow, first and foremost. Please come back next week and let us know how you got on. But just tomorrow, take your time. Literally take your time to read the questions, break it down, read the answers. If you don't know what the answer is, flag it, move on. And then at the end, go back to the flagged ones. If you still don't know what the answer is, go backwards, work out what it can't be. There's always one stupid answer, which I'll show you on here in a minute. And then you're left with 1 in 3 chance. Sometimes there's 2 stupid answers. Sometimes there's even 3 stupid answers. So by default, you're left with the right answer. But yeah, just take your time. And most importantly, breathe when you go in there. Every time I say it to my student, I think, oh, what? That's natural to breathe. No, but there's deep breathing and calm breathing. If you feel stressed, panicked, you do want to just take time out and just breathe, get the brain some oxygen. Debola, welcome to you first and foremost. 40 out of 50, so that's 10 questions wrong. And 46 out of 75. Again, that's just scraping the hazard perception. So you still need work on hazard perception. I will rebook as soon as possible. Again, I came across some questions I'm not familiar with. Because you see, this is what worries me. Rebook as soon as possible. I'll get some studying. If you've got 10 questions wrong, there's got to be at least 7 to 8 categories that you got questions wrong in. So that shows a lack of knowledge. As much as you say this question's unfamiliar with, it still leads to the same answer, which is safety. So it's a lack of knowledge. I would do a bit more studying before booking again, unless the waiting time is long in your area. And what I mean by that, if it's 3-4 weeks waiting time, then fine, book it and then work towards it. But if you can get a test next week or the week after, I would get some studying before that. But that's just my opinion. And the hazard perception still needs work. So what I would do is with your sheet on the hazard perception, see how many 5s, 4s, 3s, 2s, and 1s. If you got 46, that would suggest you got a few 1s, 2s, and maybe a few 0s on there, which suggests you don't know what a hazard is. But you can only tell that from paperwork, your paperwork. Amenia, I had my test on the 7th. I had 39 out of 50, 11 questions wrong. That again, that suggests a lack of knowledge. That's going to be more studying on the categories. Let's see, here we go, look. But I booked another one, which is on the 19th. I took the test on the 7th. And you book it on the 19th. That's 12 days later with 11 questions wrong. Again, that depends how much studying you did. Yeah, like I said, I don't know you, so I don't know how much studying you've done between the 12 days, or how much studying you will do between the 12 days. I'm not a big fan of that. If someone gets 39 and booking it straight afterwards, 12 days later. But yeah, like I said, you know you. Hopefully you get it right on the second attempt. All right, let's get these answers up. Right, you guys are going for a... I'll put this up, Esperance, because I know it's the first question, so I know it's got to be the first one you're talking about. But moving forward, please put the question number and your answer afterwards. All right, most of you have gone for, not most of you, all of you have gone for A. Yeah, with the ferry test, you're never going to move them. It's about safety. Leave them there. If it's the area is safe, the key word there is safe, so nothing's going to happen to them. Leave them until the ambulance crew turn up. Your vehicle breaks down on a motorway and you need to call for help. Why might it be better to use an emergency roadside telephone rather than a mobile phone? When would you recommend rebooking? After you've studied some and start passing mock test. That's when I would book again. Mazamil, what do you think is the hardest part of learning to drive? Is the hardest part for me as an instructor teaching pupils week in, week out, the hardest part for me that I come across is the student's mindset. You guys are so scared of hitting things, what other people think. That's the worst. Worrying about holding other people up, stalling. It's your mindset. You're learning to drive. You've got a massive L plate on the front of your car and the back of your car to say you're learning. And if anyone wants to beat the horn or make faces, all the rest of it, it's their problem, it's not yours. And that's the hardest part as a student. As driving instructor, I can't make you overcome that. I can help you stay calm in the car, can talk to my pupils and keep them calm, take the time, blah, blah, blah. But when you're on your own, i.e. when you go for your driving test, for example, or you independent drive, when you get around to doing the sat-nav driving and all the rest of it, those things play a massive part. Everybody can learn to drive. Some people learn fast, some people learn slow, but your mindset, worrying about other people, that it's easier said than done. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you jump in a car and don't worry about everybody else. It's easier said than done, but that's the biggest issue. Once you can overcome what other people are thinking about you driving, then it becomes easier because then you're not afraid of making mistakes. The biggest thing, like I said, is stalling the car. You guys at traffic lights, trying to find a biting point with the foot brake on and all the rest of it. Those type of things don't do. Use the handbrake. But yeah, so mindset, that's the hardest thing. Once you get over that, everything else falls into place. Well, you're in the right place. You're on the YouTube live. Ask any questions. It's easy to say, please, I need help. I don't know what you need help with. So you need to give me a bit more detail with that. But like I said, you're in the right place to ask your questions. Ashley, please put a Q semicolon because like I said, that looks like a comment to me. What is the difference between a ring road and a roundabout? A roundabout, literally what it says on the tin, is a roundabout. You go around it to get to a certain exit. A ring road, you normally find them in towns and villages. It rings that town or village. It's a main road for that town or village. An example, like I said, for where I teach in London, we've got South Circular because it rings South London. You've got North Circular, which rings North London. And you've got the M25, which rings London full stop. So if you stayed on that road, you don't turn left or right, it's going to bring you back to the same point you started. So if you started at junction 2 on the M25. Do not turn left or right off that road. You're going to come back to junction 2. So a ring road normally rings a town or village or particular area. A roundabout, you go around it to get to an exit of some kind. So that's the difference between the two. I'll pass my ferry test thanks to your videos. Thank you. I'm believe that's to be so much. Congratulations on passing. Please let us know what your next steps are. Isabel, good morning to you. Right. Let's find number 2 and I'll get back to your comments. Some of your 1As are still coming through with the 2s. And all of you so far. Joe Allen, how are you? I've seen you for ages. How's things going? Emmanuel, good morning to you. Right, must have gone for D. It allows easy location by emergency services. Yes, it does. By using emergency phones, that gives you a location. Plus, you've got a location number on the marker post to help you out as well. By using a mobile, you can't give that information. You're waiting to come out of a side road. Why should you look carefully for motorcyclists? Why should you? Hafi, you've been getting average on 48. Then you're good to go. Just don't get complacent with it. Keep it. Because remember, I said the real test is different. The questions are worded differently. There may be questions that you've never seen before. So, because sometimes when you take mock tests, in your case, you've done all the questions. Sometimes it could just be not consciously, but you just memorize some of the answers. Not like I said, it's not deliberate. It's just because you've done so much studying, you just recognize the question, you just recognize the answer. But the most important thing is you're doing what's in front of you. You're passing mock tests on a regular. So just keep doing what you're doing. Because at this precise moment, your stats says you're good to go. Lydia, good morning to you. 40 out of 50, 10 questions wrong. That's, for me personally, 40 out of 50, that shows a lack of knowledge still. 10 questions on a test, that shows a lack of knowledge. I'll go back to basics, doing the categories on that. Start with the categories they gave you on the sheet they gave you, and 49 out of 75. I would still try to improve that because that's just 5 above the pass mark. That suggests you're lacking understanding what the hazard is. Again, only your score can tell you that. If you got quite a few zeros, 1s and 2s, it shows you, it demonstrates you don't know what a hazard is or when to click for the hazard. I can't pronounce your name, but I'm going to call you Peter Adebayo. Pass your test on the 20th of April using all the tips from the videos. Congratulations, Peter, for passing. Jonas, good morning. Basola, good morning. And your first time here, so welcome to you. Yeah, similar to what I just said before. Read the questions very, very carefully. Read the answers very carefully. Breaking it down, because sometimes there's clues in the question and answers. And if you don't know what the answer is, flag it, move on, and then go back to the flagged ones and then work backwards. Get rid of the stupid answer that's on there. So you're left in 1 in 3 chance of getting it right. And like I said, sometimes there's more than one stupid answer. But most importantly, go in there and just take your time and breathe. Breathe, 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 breathe. I remember you're looking for the safety option. Abel's got test tomorrow as well. Again, guys, please come back next week. Let me know how you got on. Free. Let me just find the freeze. Here's the first one. But again, I don't see no difference here. Most of you, not most, all of you have gone for 3B. B, motorcycle B. Yes. What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on a motorway? So what should you do? I remembered you telling us all the meters in the ferry test. Can you please repeat again? Yes, meters. The only 3 meters you need to know, as much as I don't like memorizing stuff, is 10 meters is where you shouldn't park within a junction. 45 meters is where you place a triangle from a broken down car. And 100 meters is poor visibility when you turn your lights on. So that one more time. 10 meters is where you should not park near a junction. 45 meters is where you place a triangle from a broken down car. And 100 meters is when you turn your lights on for poor visibility. This is the real question in the test. It doesn't come up in the app. So it depends on the context of the question. Because remember, I don't know what the real question is. I just know they do ask that, but it depends on the context. If you can give me a bit more context, Stephen, I can give you the answer you're looking for. But I said that level crossing question is in the real test, not in the apps. Fat Pappy, good morning to you. First and foremost, yes, there has been updates. Safety and your vehicle category, which is the new ADAS questions, Advanced Driver Assist System questions. There's quite a few in there. And if you go onto my channel, I've done a video about 2 weeks ago with all the questions and answers on there as well. 4B is the common one. What should you do when you're approaching roadworks on the motorway? You guys have gone for 4B. Obey the speed limit. Speed up. No. Always use up. No. Stay very close. No. Yeah, out of all of them, this is the safest one. Why should you check for motorcyclists just before returning into a safe side road? It's my dyslexia kicking in. Again, if I was taking a ferry test, I got to read the question 2 or 3 times because my dyslexia will kick in badly. And that's why I said if you've got a learning disability, you will take a little bit longer than normal, which is fine. June 11th, so it's literally a month away, Joe. But hopefully you got some studying going on. Again, if you got any questions, just turn up on the lives and ask away. Yeah, you can do that. But again, if you do the categories, you're going to come across every question going as well. Some of you guys are just diving into mock tests because, one, I'll be honest with you, it's the easiest way to study. Just do mock test after mock test, because if the question comes up, you don't know it, you can memorize the answer. It's not the best way because the app is not designed to show you all 700 and whatever questions it is nowadays. It's designed to show you similar questions that you kind of got wrong, and questions along those lines. It won't show you every question. So that's why I say do the categories. It takes a little bit longer, but give you a better chance of passing first time. Again, blessings got here. I joined your live in March. I've been following silently. I learned has a perception from you, honestly. I did my test last week. I scored 36 and 57. So has perception sorted. 36. That's 14 questions wrong. I saw your questions. I haven't come across. Yeah, like I said, you're going to come across questions. You guys are going in there and still surprised when you see questions that you've never seen before. I'm telling you, before you go in there, you're going to see questions that you've never seen before. You're going to see questions worded slightly differently. Still comes to the same outcome, safety. So it still comes to 14 questions wrong. That's still a lack of understanding. It's not just because you haven't seen the questions before, because you don't understand what they're asking. Again, I use this in the boot camp. I use this in the car when I'm teaching. When I teach very, in the car anyway, very simple, very basic. Keep it very simple, very, very basic. Similar, I think, is Becky's got a driving lesson on Wednesday if she's still here. Hopefully your instructor does similar, where they keep it very simple, don't overcomplicate anything. So the way that I explain it is like when you teach a child to count, you start with the basics. So 2 + 2 is 4, 4 + 4 is 8, blah, blah, blah. And that's the way I teach in the car. So 2 + 2 is 4. Religiously, 2 + 2 is 4. 4 equals safety for the driving. That's what I substitute. The 4 equals safety. So whatever they do with the driving, the outcome has to be safe. So if we come to a situation where it's a 3 + 1 situation, the outcome is still the same, still safety. If it's a 4 + 0 situation, outcome is still 4, it's safety. So when you do the theory test questions, it makes no difference what question they're asked that you've never seen it before, the outcome is still safety. It's just that you didn't understand what they're asking. That's why you couldn't choose the safest option. And that's why I keep on saying you can do all 777 questions in the app. But if you don't understand them, you're still going to struggle when it's worded differently. And that's the key. So what are we on? 5? Let me get the 5s and come back to your comments. You have to understand the questions. Like I said, when we done the mock test on Friday in the boot camp, so I'm just trying to find the 5s. Some of them were still making common mistakes because they didn't understand fully the question, which means they chose the wrong answer because it's open for interpretation. Because some of the answers could have been any one of them for the question. But if you understand the question, you can now eliminate definitely what it can't be. It's really about understanding. All right, most of you gone for 5C, but I did see simply me. Change your name. All right. Yeah, it's good to see you here, by the way. Yeah, most of you went for C, but I did see a B. Let's just check. That's the correct answer. They may be emerging from the side road. The question here says, why should you check for motorcycles just before turning right into the side road? This one, they're coming from the side road. Emerging means coming out. Turning right is turning right, but emerging means coming out from the side road where the giveaway lines are. That's why it's not this answer. For those who went for B. You're waiting at a level crossing. What should you do if a red warning lights continue to flash after a train has passed? Esther, can you please explain blue camp? Because I'm new with it. I don't know what blue camp is. You got to give me a bit more content. I don't know what blue camp is. Sorry. Working and studying, that's fine. It's not a problem. Hopefully not working too hard. You got a work-life balance. Again, please put the question, a Q semicolon, because I missed this previously. What gear to use on icy roads and on wet roads? Icy roads is the highest gear possible. The reason why you're using the highest gear possible, because you don't want power. First and second gear, if you're doing manual, are power gears. You don't want power on ice and snow. You want the weakest gear on ice and snow. So you use the highest gear. Wet roads, you use any gear that you want. Because it's wet, doesn't change anything. George, good morning to you. Again, silent watcher. Thank you for breaking your silence, by the way. Congratulations on passing 47 out of 50, 55, 75. Thank you for breaking the silence. What's your next step if you're still here? Lucy, Max. You got your driving test in 1 week. I need advice. Ask away. What's the advice? Please put a Q semicolon. But what advice do you need for a driving test? It's after my third test on the 2nd of June. I'm trying using the 4-in-1 app to practice. Why have you got trying to use in that? That suggests you're struggling. 2nd of June is next month, so just under 3 weeks. You've got enough time to study, but yeah, you got trying to use the 4-in-1. That suggests you're struggling with that. Hopefully you're not. Number 6. Let's find the 6s. I think this is the first one. Right, most of you, not all, most of you, all of you have gone for brilliant. Most of you gone for a continue to wait. So it's gonna be continue to wait, be patient. Trains normally go in pairs, one pass from left to right, the other one pass from right to left. If it's still flashing, there's another train on its way. Where are the reason why I'm laughing because this came up a lot in the boot camp this week. Where are amber reflective studs found on the motorway? Sorry to hear about your Doberman, Simply Me. 3 years old as well. Wow, it's young. Can't imagine putting our dog down at this point in time. All right, I do my test on Monday. I can't answer that. Everybody's different. because not everybody can take in a lot of information or study for a length of time. But you can, I'll be honest with you, you can study for 2-3 hours a day. If it's not quality studying, it doesn't mean, it means nothing. So you want to make sure it's quality. And what I mean by quality, structured training, so you know what you're trying to achieve. So for example, if you're doing categories, you know how many categories you're going to do. So let's just say you said, right, I'm going to do 2 categories, and you knock, I don't know, motorway rules and accidents and emergencies out. Boom, that's quality. You know what you're trying to achieve. But if you're just going to go, I'm just going to study, you don't know if you've improved because you have no idea what you're studying, if that makes sense. So it's got to be a quality structured training. That's what you're after. So even if it was 15 minutes a day, that's still quality compared to someone who does an hour a day. But like I said, someone who does 2 hours and there's no structure to it, and all they've done is just studied and got nothing out of it, it means nothing. So it's about quality rather than the length of time, not quantity. So only you can answer that, because obviously you know what your mind state is, how much information you can take in, and what you're trying to achieve from it. Again, examples, road signs, which is common for some reason. If you struggle with road signs, study road signs, and hopefully by the end of that studying, you now understand what red circles, blue circles, triangles are, what signs are. But it means the quality. You've gone in there not knowing or lack of understanding. You've came out with the understanding. That's what I mean by quality and structured. Just doing apps, questions after questions is not quality. So I'm just trying to find the 7s. I will add also, there's certain ways of studying. Some of you guys, again, just diving on the apps and thinking, yeah, just do app questions after question, and that's leading to quality. It doesn't. It just leads to you kind of memorizing the answers. Hence why when some of you are going in there, you see questions that you've never seen before, you're now freaking out because you didn't understand what the question was from the apps. No problem. Also, with Mafia Gaming, if you question you got asked, are you passing? Are you taking mock tests? That's another way of looking at it. And if you are taking mock tests, are you passing? If you're passing mock tests, it suggests you're doing something correct. If that makes sense, it doesn't mean say you're going to pass. It doesn't mean say you're going to pass the real test, but you can only do what's in front of you. So if you're passing mock tests, it means you're on the right lines. If you're failing mock tests or taking, let's say you take 5 mock tests and you pass 3 out of 2, it's almost 50-50. There's something not quite right. So that's another gauge of how you're improving as well. Sabah, I have booked tests but forgot to click voice. That's voiceover. How do I? Don't need to. The headphones are set up automatically now for you. Back in the day, you had to click it in advance, so they had it set up for you in advance. But I believe, based on feedback and from the DVSA's emails, the headphones are there for you now. So it's up to you whether you use it or not. So it doesn't really make a difference whether you clicked it or not. Just go in there and use the headphones. But I will also say, with headphones, if you are going to use headphones on the day, hopefully using headphones at home. So it's natural when you go in there. You don't want to be just reading the questions at home and then go in there, use headphones, because it's a different experience. What you guys should be doing when you're studying is studying the way you're going to take the test. So if you're using voiceover, if you want to use voiceover for the real test, you should be using voiceover at home. And I don't mean for the question to be read out loud. Use the headphones so you have that different experience where the headphones is blocking out your surroundings rather than having the questions read out from the app. There's a slightly difference. You're trying to practice exactly what you're going to preach on the day. Sorry, I'm just still trying to do these 7s, aren't I? Yeah. What did you guys go for? The amber lights. Yeah, amber lights is there. I'll give you another little tip which I've been using in the boot camp, because this does come up a lot on the real test. Work out what color studs they're talking about. And once you work it out, so in this case it's amber, all you got to do is go to the 3 letters here, R, W, A. R stands for red, which is on the left. W stands for white, which is in the middle. And in this case, amber is on the right-hand side. And that's where the central reservation is, on the right-hand side. So that's why it's this one. So all you got to do is work out the color and then go to your 3 letters here, R, W, A. They're in exact order the lane is in. And that gives you the answer. That's a simple way of doing it. Which vehicles are not allowed to use the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway? Yes, it is a lot of effort, but you got to ask yourself, is it worth it to pass it or not and fail it? If you're taking mock test 43 plus, you said 43 plus, then what I would do is stick to doing that. And then I would, when you're getting stuff like 43, 44, if you're using the 4-in-1 app, it gives you the weakest category, and then maybe go and revisit those weakest categories. I would definitely go back to the questions you got wrong. So let's say you got 44 in this case, then go back over the 6 questions that you got wrong, and then ask yourself, be honest with yourself, why did you think you got the question wrong? And like I said, it's very easy to say, I got the question wrong, end of. I'll go a bit deeper and ask yourself why. Did you read the question carefully? Did you read it too fast? Did you miss out a word that should have been taken in there? Didn't you see the clues? Those are the things you need to explore. This is for everybody. You need to go a bit deeper than, oh, I got the question wrong. Because sometimes there's an underlying reason why you got the question wrong. And that's what you guys don't explore, is the mindset of why you got the question wrong. Sometimes it's not just because you don't know it. It's because you read the question too fast. You didn't see the change of words in the question or answer. It could be simple as that. But if you're passing 43, yeah, I would just keep doing mock tests and just revisit the questions I got wrong within that mock test. Because ideally, you want more than 43. I know 43 is to pass, but you want to aim as high as possible. Ideally, when's your test? I think it was 2nd of June or something like that, which is about 3 weeks away. Ideally, you want 47s, 48s. That way, if you did make a silly mistake by clicking the wrong answer, you're still going to pass. If you're getting 43, you can't afford to make a silly mistake because it's going to drop you down. Below the pass mark. Sorry, I'm seeing 9C on there and we're not 9. We're on 8. I don't understand why someone's typing 9. It's just threw me to see no 9 on there. C is the common answer. Vehicles towing a trailer. Yeah, based on the answer is this one. Yeah, vehicles towing a trailer. What does this sign mean? I'm not saying you have to go back to, like I said, do all the categories again. What I'm just saying is when you do a 50 question mock test, you said 43 plus. If you got 44, for example, it will give you the weakest category. You could go back and do that. But I would, if you're passing the mock test on a regular, which is what you're saying, I would revisit the questions you got wrong on that mock test and ask yourself why I got the question wrong. Be honest with yourself. Oh, I didn't know it. Ask yourself why you didn't know it, because you said you covered all 777 questions, which technically means you should know it. Be honest. And I'm not saying you've got to have an answer every time. When I do this with the students in the boot camp, and we say, and we ask why, sometimes they don't have an answer for it. That's fine. But the thing is, you have to explore that option. Same thing when you guys are driving. Again, I use Becky if she's still here. She got a driving lesson on Wednesday. If you make a mistake in the car, ask yourself why. So I'll give an example with my students. When they stall a car and we go, the reason why stalling is either the wrong gear or the clutch came up too quickly. That's the two reasons why you stall. Clutch came up too quickly or wrong gear. But it wasn't the wrong gear. So why did we stall it? Oh, because I felt pressure from the person behind. There's your answer. It wasn't because the clutch came up quickly. It's because you felt pressure from the person behind. Now we relieve the pressure from the person behind. Now guess what happens next time out? We don't stall the car. That's the reason why. So look deep. The theory test isn't always about, oh, I got the questions wrong, end of. It's about why did I get the question wrong? Mindset. Well, I think some of you went for A as well on this. What about head restraints? How high can you adjust it? Let me come back to that. C is the common answer. I will add red circles are orders, 95% red circles are no's. If you don't know what it means, what you want to do, they'll always give you 2 with no's. So get rid of this one. Get rid of this one. This is what I mean by working backwards for those of you who got your test coming up. So it can't be these two. Now you're left with these two, 50-50. And then look at the image. That's a motorbike. So straight away, there's your answer. Because sometimes the clues in the image. What does this sign mean? What about head restraints? How high can you adjust it? It's not about height. It's about the right height. And it's the ears being in the middle of the headrest or the headrest level with the top of the back of the head is the answer. And it stops you from getting whiplash. That's another question on the theory test. What's it for? It stops you from getting neck injuries or whiplash. But i.e. your ears should be in the middle of the headrest or the headrest sort of level. You can't see the top of my head, but level with the top of your head. So if it snaps back, it hits the cushion, not got over the top or underneath. How many clicks is too much in the hazard perception? If you're asking that question, you don't know what you're clicking on because you shouldn't be asking that question. But I'll give you an answer for it. I don't know. No one knows because every video is different. So some videos can have 15 clicks, some can have 20 clicks, some can have 6 clicks. But if you're asking how many clicks, you don't know what hazard is. And I'll demonstrate that later on. Because you shouldn't be worrying about the amount of clicks. That's waste of brain power. If you click on things that exist, it doesn't matter. Unless you're spamming it 5 or 6 times for one hazard, that's a different story. If you click do the 2-click method that I teach, then it doesn't really matter how many times you're clicking because it won't kick you out. 10B's the common answer. Sorry, just got thrown in. Again, work backwards. It's a tram. So get rid of this one with the bus, get rid of this one for the bus. Now you're left with these two, and it can't be give way because it says only. So it's a route for trams only. So that's the reason why it's that one. What should you do if you cannot see clearly behind when you're reversing? Okay, I'd be interested what you guys go for on that one. There's a lot on the theory test. So you've got the yellow lines, red lines, hazard lines, giveaway lines. There's a lot of them on the theory test. That's something you need to brush up on. And they're visual for me to go through. Red routes and red routes, yellow lines, I can give you the information on that one. What are they for? What's the purpose? It eases congestion, helps traffic flow. That's the common question for the red routes and the yellow lines. In terms of the white lines, there's lots of them, and that's a visual one. It'd be very hard for me to give you the answer to those without showing you visually what the answers are. And we cover all of that in the boot camp as well, all the white lines. Because again, when this is finished, I'll show you on the test sheet. The lines are a massive part of your test, driving test. B White, good morning. Good morning to you. First and foremost, I passed my driving test. I think you mean your driving theory test on the 7th of May, 45 out of 50. Has perception 54, 75. Congratulations on passing. And thank you for coming to the lab and let me know how you got on. Please, where can one have ADAS material to study? 2 places. One on the app, safety and your vehicle category is in there. And I've done the video on the YouTube channel 2 weeks ago. Emmanuel, you say the real test questions are worded different, but they still have the same answer that we get in app. No. The questions are worded slightly differently. There's a spin on words on it, which means the answers are going to be worded slightly differently as well. But it still leads to safety. The general context or the meaning behind the answer is still going to lead to safety. So the questions are going to be worded slightly different. The answers are going to be worded slightly different. And there will be questions that you've never seen before, but it still leads to safety. Do I look back at the data now from our theory test results and study those categories? Yes, because I believe you said you got 40 or 39. I can't remember. If that's the case, that's a lot of questions wrong. But you're in the boot camp. So if that's the case, I would go. I'll tell you what you do, Selena. First and foremost, you took your test, you didn't let us know. So what you want to do is email a picture of your result so I can analyze it. And then you want to go back into, because you're still registered for the Theory Test Pro, because I was in there Friday with a pupil and I saw your results in there, and take another 50 question mock test. And then I can give you a bit more information. Rather than general information, I can give you personal feedback on the categories you got wrong and your 50 questions when you take another one on the Theory Test Pro, because you're still registered in there. I remember if your 28 days has run out, send an email to the support team and they will give you access for another 28 days on your theory test. But send us the information. That's the most important. Then I can give you personal feedback. Sorry, need to find 11s. Ooh. Sorry, there we go. You guys are going for B's and D's. The majority is a D, so I've got to assume that's correct. All right, let's take a look. Ask someone to guide you. What was the other one? B's and D's. Open the door to look behind. That can't be safe. You're opening the door into the main road. That makes no sense. In terms of safety, I will add, again, don't make it clear. This is what I'm saying. Understand the question. The question says, what should you do if you cannot see the... Try again, dyslexia. What should you do if you cannot see clearly behind when you're reversing? When they say behind, as much as they're not saying it here, it's behind the car, which is from the boot down. You opening the door, you're not going to see behind the car. You look in the near side mirror. Near side is on the left-hand side, just in case you don't know. You're not seeing behind the car. You're seeing down the side of the car. And opening the window to look, even which window you open, the sides, left or right. Again, you understand the sides of the car. The reason why you're asking someone to guide you, because the person is going to be behind the car, so they know it's safe to guide you. If this is not an option when you go for your test, it will be get out and check. So I repeat, it's from the boot down. So no kids playing hide and seek, no black bags, no rubbish behind the car. So just ask someone to guide you, or get out and check would be the real option on the real test. And that's what I mean about understanding what the questions and asking. What's the first thing you must do if you have a collision while you're driving your car? Samsung, I cannot concentrate on my theory tests. Every time I try, I get bored. There's no solution for that. If you get bored, there's nothing much I can do. Shorten it 10 minutes, 15 minutes. The question, again, if you was my student, I'd be asking you, why can't you concentrate? Where are you studying? Are you studying in a quiet environment at home? Ask you why you're getting bored. There's lots of questions to be asked. Like I said, I don't know you because you're not my pupil, but those are the questions, if you was my pupil, I'd be asking, because you have to answer those and then find a solution to that problem. But based on what you're saying, shorten it, do 10 minutes at a time. If you're getting bored within 10 minutes, then you may have a learning issue. Manuel, you're welcome. I never click too much. I always use the two-click method, but just shook for the one click with two hazards. If you're doing the two-click method, whether it's got two hazards or not, it's irrelevant, because it's still going to work. Because you're supposed to be clicking on anything and everything that is a hazard. So you should be clicking all the way through the video from start to finish. So like I said, it still works on the one hazard or two hazard method. It makes no difference. Right, 12B seems to be common. Stop at the scene. Yeah, you got to stop. Make sure no one's injured. Swap details if you need to swap details. You're on a motorway. What should you do if there's a red cross showing on the sign above your lane only? Can someone make use of video only and password? Yeah, if you go on my YouTube channel, read the comments. People are passing all the time, just using the videos. But you got to also, like I said, everybody's different. Some people would use the apps. Some people use the apps and the videos. Some people would use apps, no videos. Everybody's different. So just because someone's passing with videos only doesn't mean say you will as well. But you need to find what's best for you. I had one pupil in the boot camp, I think it was 2 weeks ago. She didn't like the apps. She preferred the books. But she took the boot camp because it was similar to me explain the bits and pieces. It comes across like a book to her. She didn't do the apps at all, and she went on and passed on the Friday of the week she took the boot camp. So like I said, everybody's different. For me personally, I wouldn't use a book because with my dyslexia, me reading books, unless it's got a lot of pictures in it, it's not going to be beneficial to me. So everybody is different. But the answer to your question, yes, it is possible to the videos only. You guys have to find what's best for you. So just because the videos are added doesn't mean you have to use them if it's not working for you. I just do the videos and break it down because that's what I do. When we did it in the classroom, that's what I did in the classroom, and the students found it very, very beneficial. Yes, over your lane only, so don't continue in that lane is correct. What does this sign mean? Yeah, I'll pick that up tomorrow when I'm back at work. I'll do that at some point tomorrow. I appreciate Adibola. The difference is Selena's in my boot camp and we give support until they're passed. You're not in my boot camp. So I appreciate you're sending your stuff over. If I got time to answer it, I will. But if I haven't, I won't. With Selena, she's in the boot camp. She's paid for the service, so she will get help until she passes her ferry test. That's the difference. You guys are still right. 14C. Don't send it to the Ferry Test Pro. I don't know if you can do images in the Ferry Test Pro. Do not send it to the Ferry Test Pro. Send it to the support email. Because then any part of the team can pick it up and pass it on to me. Oh, 14A, 14Cs. You guys are split on that. 14As and 14Cs, but C is the majority. Right. First of all, let's break it down. What does this sign mean? 95% red circles are no's. So straight away, get rid of this, get rid of this. So you're either left with C or D. Let me just check. Was it A? Yeah, you guys have gone for A. Right, yeah, breaking it down. This is a no. So it's either no stopping or no entry. No entry would be red up here, white in the middle, red at the bottom. So it can't be no entry, it's no stopping. Weighting restrictions. Right, I see where you guys are going from with this. Weighting restriction is similar, but it's a diagonal red line, just one diagonal line, which is the weighting restriction. Which means you can wait to drop off, pick up passengers, but you can't wait for them. But because it's got a red X, it's reinforced. No stopping at any time. That's the reason why it's this one. Again, it goes back to what I'm saying, understanding the question. What will reduce fuel consumption? Yes, I do a boot camp every Monday to Friday, 5 days, 4:30 to 2:30 studying, 4:30 to 2:30, 4:30 to 6:30 studying, where I break structured learning. So Monday we cover legal stuff, documents, alcohol. Tuesday we cover road signs, road markings, roads, motorways, studs. Wednesday we cover safety in your vehicle, aquaplaning, emergency stops, skidding, all first aid issues. And then Thursday and Friday, we just make sure you're on point by doing mock tests. But the most important thing, you get to ask questions live and get the explanations done. And you got the visual clues as well, because it's all slides and pictures, which makes life a lot easier. I watched a video that says the sign means weighting restriction applied. Nope, you didn't. couldn't have. The video getting mistaken. Like I said, there's two similar signs to the sign that was just gone. The one with the red X is no waiting, as you just saw with the answer. And the one with the one diagonal line is the waiting restrictions apply. I'll come back to that in a minute. There's a bit more going on in there. I'll come back to that in a second, Naomi. Congratulations on passing Doyin Solar. Yeah, something I'm looking into. I can't do any other times because obviously I'm teaching in the mornings. It's only the afternoons I've got time to do the boot camp. But I am looking to just release the recordings of the boot camp. So you just got access to the whole recording and no training sessions, just recording. So I'm looking into doing that because, like I said, there's a lot of people saying about times can they do mornings. I can't because I'm teaching driving in the mornings. So it's something I'm working on. Again, I'll come back to that in a minute. Right, let me 15A. Right, you guys are split 15As and Ds. I don't understand why. What will reduce fuel consumption? So we've got A and D, stay in lower gears. That's not possible. Because it says stay in lower gears. Lower gears for driving, for those of you doing manual, it's first and second gear. So what happens if you do 30, 40, 50, 60, 70? I'm staying in lower gears. That doesn't lead to safety at any point. Driving more slowly. When they say drive more slowly, again, this is about understanding the question. What will reduce fuel consumption? Driving more slowly. When they say drive more slowly, they're saying drive slowly in the gear that you are in. So, for example, you're not going to do 20, 30 miles an hour in first or second gear because it's over revving. So it's driving at the right speed for the right gear of choice. If you're in first gear, you're doing the right speed. If you're in second gear, you're doing the right speed. If you're in sixth gear, you're doing the right speed. That's what they mean by driving more slowly. And again, it goes back to understand because they're not explaining that here. It just says what will reduce fuel consumption. And I get why people choose this answer because like I see it a lot in the boot camp. I get why. But if you break it down, you can't stay in low gears all the time, but you can drive slowly for the gear that you are in at the time. And that's the reason why it's this one. Which light should you switch on when when daytime visibility is poor but not seriously reduced? Again, this comes up a lot in the boot camp. So I've done that one already. Done that for Joe. Right, sorry, let me, because I did think about, I'm still confused in, I'm assuming you mean Pelican crossing and other. You can explain, but we're great. So my brain can't take that in because it's not worded properly. Just give me a sec. You're going a bit too deep. The only one that you need to know the difference is Pelican crossing. And I'll tell you why. Pelican flashes. So Pelican's the only one that's got a flashing sequence. There's flashing amber. All the rest are traffic light sequence, which is green, amber, red and amber together, green. And toucan, they talk about toucan as well. Who's it for? That's what it stands for. Toucan cross at the same time. It's for cyclists and pedestrians. But when it comes to color of the lights, the only one that you really want to be aware of is a Pelican, because a Pelican has a flashing sequence, has a flashing amber, where the others do not. It has steady colours with that one. But you're going a bit too deep in terms of the difference of the crossings with that. I'm just worried. Right, this bit nailed me. I'm just worried about I'm going to fail. That's life. If you worry about the chance that you're going to fail it because you already told yourself that you're thinking about it too much, be positive that you are going to pass it. If it doesn't happen, you got data. But if you're worrying about going to fail, then you're reluctant to take it, and it's just the way the brain works. Like I said, I work on mindset. It's just the way the brain works. If you're worried about it, that's natural to worry, stress, nervous about a test. But think positive. The second part, I've been using the app to revise. I do get easily distracted. Again, you got to ask yourself why you get easily distracted. Only you can answer that. But I have been giving myself time limits of how long I should revise for. That's not a bad thing. Again, as long as it's structured learning. But yeah, the key thing for me is don't worry about failing. Just worry about taking the test. And ask yourself why you get distracted easily. Because if you're getting distracted easily and you're doing it at home, then are you going to get distracted even more when you take the real test? So like I said, it's something that you need to ask yourself those questions. Alibola, thanks. How can I be in the group as well, please? Be in the group. What group? I'm assuming you mean the boot camp. That's registered on the website, www.drivingferryuk.com, and it's got the details in there. After this live, I need to rewrite them because it's not the original live that was up. It will be in the link in the description as well, but it's easier to go on the website. It gives a bit more explanation of what you get for it. Score your comment. Yeah, this website's going to be the easiest way to do that. But like I said, if you want the direct link, it will be in the description after this live. So I can go and redo the description. That would be great. You can upload pre-recorded bootcamp videos on your channel or watch a lot of videos. That won't go on the channel. Unfortunately, that will not be going on the channel. The reason being the people in the bootcamp have paid for that service. And it'd be unfair for me to give it out for free. So the bootcamp videos will never go up on the channel. I'm talking about releasing another product where it's just bootcamp recordings which you get access to, but will never be on the channel. Like I said, it'd be unfair for me to be giving out that stuff when someone's paying for it. And the support that goes with it. Hair tutorial, you just typed in the answer 14C and we're on 16. Just letting you know that your internet connection may be really slow. All right, 16B is what you go for. Yeah, bog standard light questions, always going to be dipped headlights. You're in the right-hand lane of a 3-lane motorway. What do these overhead signs mean? First of all, you're here, so welcome, even though you are late. I had my ferry test on Tuesday and got 49. Wow, 49. I just missed the magical 50 by 1. Now, congratulations with that, though. 60 out of 75. Well done to you. If you're still here, let me know what your next steps are. 49 out of 50, though. Well done. It'd be interesting to know what category you got the question wrong in. If you're still here, type it in. Let me know what category you got that question wrong in. I bet it's something simple as well. Right, most of you, not most of you, all of you so far, I've gone for B. I think YouTube's playing up because it's coming through really slowly. Right, let's take a look at B. Move to the left, reduce speed to 50. Yep. When would you use the right-hand lane on a 3-lane motorway? Mafia Gaming, you got your test on the 2nd of June, I believe, and you're passing mock test. I'm not saying it's not right for you. I'm just saying, is it necessary? Look into, don't get me wrong, look into it if you want, but if you're passing mock tests and you're tested on the 2nd of June, then like I said, you're probably good to go. The boot camp is really for people that's really struggling. Took the test 3 or 4 times, failed it, really struggling to pass mock test, lack of understanding, lack of time, because it's condensed in 5 days. And then, like I said, it's got other training material on there as well. So it's got, let me explain what the boot camp is about. First of all, it's 5 days training via Zoom. Every session is recorded, so you have access to those recordings. If you can't attend live, you have access to the recording. You also have 28 days access at a time to other training materials. I've recorded every single question of every category, and it's uploaded in individual categories. I've done a video on the ADS questions, which has been uploaded to that channel. So anything that's changed in the theory test gets uploaded to the training platform. And like I said, you've got email support. So anything you're struggling with, you send an email, the team will answer. If they can't answer it, then I will answer it. Similar to what Selena's doing now with her test results. She's emails me. I will check it, examine it, and give her personal training to get back on track. So it's not just the 5 days you're paying for ongoing support until you pass. It's not just a case of 5 days done, we leave you. We're keeping you going until you pass your theory test. So if you take 5-6 attempts to pass your theory test, you shouldn't, but if you do, you have the support until you end up passing, regardless of how many attempts you take. So that's what you're getting for your money. Like I said, it's more for people that are really struggling with their theory, lack of time, because it is condensed, that type of thing. But Mafia Gaming, based on what you're saying to me, it sounds like you're good to go anyway. But if you want to join, I'll be glad to have you in there and give you a better chance of passing the next time you take your test. So I'm just trying to keep up with these B's. Khalid was the last one. Right. B is a common answer. Where are we? When you're overtaking. Yeah, I know you don't see it in real life, but the theory test in reality doesn't tally, which we discussed in the boot camp as well. It's just for overtaking only. That's what the right-hand lane for on the motorway is. Everybody should stay left unless overtaking. What should you do to avoid fuel spillage? Caravan question. We cover caravans in the boot camp. because caravan questions do come up. Once, just in case you guys didn't know, once you pass your driving test, you can start towing stuff behind you without extra training. And they do ask, you can see, I can't pronounce your name, so I'm not going to try, but they do ask questions about caravans on the ferry test, the real test. And we do cover that in the boot camp, so you're good to go with that as well. It's not on YouTube. Like I said, that training is not on YouTube. It's via Zoom. It's recorded. It's on the training platform called Kajabi, and you have access to all the bits and pieces. Everything that you need is under one roof, so you don't have to go looking on YouTube for the videos. So anything you're struggling with, it should all be there for you. Um, 19. Oh, it's just second attempt. I have time. I'll see how it goes on my second attempt. And now I'll put the practice on the amps and come back to you on your streams. No problem. Like I said, I'm not about just taking people's money. I'm there to help people. But you sound like you're doing all right based on what you typed in previously. But if you feel like you need the extra push, by all means, join. Again, you guys are split on this one, B's and C's. Was it B's and C's? Right, let's take a look at B. That's the correct answer. C, check that you've used a lock-in filler cap. No, the reason why it's not this one, because it says check that you've used a lock-in filler cap. That suggests that you have to be using one, because my car hasn't got a lock-in filler cap. It's just got a flap that you close and it locks it in. But it says check that the filler cap is securely fastened. So this is what I've got, a filler cap. I haven't got a lock-in filler cap. Again, it goes back to understanding the question. So I've got a filler cap, but not a lock-in one. So that's the reason why it's answered. This goes for both types. This only goes for the lock-in one. What information should you share if you're involved in a collision that causes damage to another vehicle? $2027. No, I believe it's 6 months at a time, so it's not 2027 yet, because we're in the 5th month, so it's 11th month, November. They'll release a certain amount of dates up to a certain point, but you're right about the dates. You just need to keep going online on a regular basis. Hopefully you've got a driving instructor, and they may be able to help you as well, swap dates or whatever it happens to be. But yeah, just keep checking. It's the same across the country, though. That's the downside. As I did mention earlier on in the stream, Monday 6 a.m. they do release the new dates every Monday at 6 a.m. but everybody's wise to it now, so you may want to get up early tomorrow or the next few Mondays, and hopefully you can bag one for your area. But that's another way of doing it. 6 a.m. Don't get up at 6 a.m. or jump online 6 a.m. You want to jump online for about 10 to 5 to 6, so you're good to go. Make sure you've got your driver's number, your ferry test pass certificate number, and the method of payment, because once you log on and get a date, if you do get one, they'll give you 15 minutes to complete it, and after 15 minutes it goes back into the hat. But yeah, just keep jumping online every so often. Dates do come up, but you have to be online at the right time for it, because everybody's doing it as well. Well, it's like you guys all agree on this one. C. C's a comment. Yeah, just your name, address, and vehicle registration number. After that, the insurance company would do the rest for you. Right, so again, breaking it down, like I said at the beginning, your theory test is made up of 14 different categories, 50 questions drawn from 14 categories. This is a 20 question mock test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they gave us 9 categories to choose from. So incidents, accidents, emergencies, 3 questions. Motorway rules, 6. Vulnerable road users, 2. Rules of the road, 1. Road and traffic signs, 4. Alertness, 1. Safety in your vehicle, 1. Vehicle handling, 1. Attitude, 1. So if my motorway rules were weak, that's a possible 6 questions I can get wrong. So I'm already down to 44 out of 50. And this is why I suggest reading or studying all the categories, because you don't know how your 50 questions is going to be made up of those categories. So that's the reason why I suggest doing each category. Yes, it's long. But like I said, I can't remember who it was to. Is it worth doing it that way and passing, or taking shortcuts and failing? Seventh test. I'll send that. When is it? As the key, so I can send that warm vibes to you. But 7 tests is a lot, which means you've got 7 paperwork there. I would definitely put all 7 together side by side and start looking at the common denominator. There's got to be a common denominator there. And then what's your average score across the 7 tests? Because 7's a lot. That again, that suggests there's a lot of lack of knowledge on that. But at least you haven't given up. That's a massive kudos to you, because you haven't given up. So keep going. So you got Oral TV's giving you lots of love and praise on that one. Yeah, I wish you best of luck with that. But yeah, let us know when the test is so we can send out the vibes on that day. I don't know why it's done that. Right. So let me do the demonstration. Let me come out of that one. So let me do the hazard perception demonstration. But before I do that, grab my pen. And as I was saying, your not hazard perception, so your theory test is on your test sheet. So iPad, hopefully this loads up. Blank screen. Right, there we go. So as I said, with because someone asked me about road markings, there's too many, and it's visual. And I said we do cover that in the bootcamp, because it's really important, not just for the theory test, for the driving side of it as well. So if you look at box 17, you got traffic signs. That was your red circle. Someone was saying how that red circle with the red X is waiting restrictions. So that's your traffic signs there. Your road markings, for the person who asked about road markings, your yellow lines, red routes, and your white lines on the road. Traffic lights, because someone asked about the different lights, pelicans, puffins, so this goes there. Traffic controllers, which is your hand signals, and other road users, which is your cyclists, horse riders, and pedestrians. So there's your hazard perception. There's your theory test right there in those boxes. On the day of the driving test, the examiner's not asking you questions about the theory test. He knows you passed it, because you can't book a driving test without it. So what he's doing is just sitting back, watching how you interact with all of those road markings, road signs, blah, blah, blah. And he'll mark the mark in a relevant box if you're not dealing with it in the right manner. So that's how that goes. So let's see what these comments are saying. That's fine. Like I said, a lot of people are passing me the videos. 21st, 18th is next week. With your test being the 21st, you wouldn't be able to do a full 5 days anyway. If it's 21st next week, 18th, 19th, 20, 21, 4 days. We have people doing it in 4 days as well. Yeah, that's fine. It's not a problem. But the videos, people are passing me the videos, so keep going with that. Fingers crossed on the 21st for you. No problem, Joe. Have a good Sunday. Yeah, we discussed again in the boot camp. We discussed mostly the theory side of it, because a hazard perception, once you sort of understand what a hazard is, it's pretty much straightforward with that. Okay, so that's the theory side of it in box 17. Now your hazard perception is box 14. So use of mirrors before you signal, change the direction, change the speed. Just in case you didn't know, those clicks you're doing, i.e. your 5s and 4s, is you checking the mirrors. So if you imagine that you was driving live in that video, every time you saw a hazard, you're checking the mirror. That's what the click represents. And that's what they're trying to encourage you to do, is checking the mirror. So the mirrors, as you can see from box 14, is a massive part of your driving test, because this is the driving test report sheet. Pass or fail, you will get a copy of this from your examiner. They don't do the signaling on the video. So it's just literally the change of direction, change of speed. Because obviously if you're slowing down, you should be checking the main mirror. And if you're changing direction, it should be the main mirror plus the wing mirror, depending on which way you're changing. So that's what you're looking for on hazard perception. So hopefully that makes sense. Let me put this down. Let me just see if there's any comments before I load up. No more comments. Right, so 4 in 1. Practice. Right, let's just see if there's anything I've not seen before. Here's one, real life, 35. So when you're doing this, you should be scanning the road from left to right and far as you can see. Can't see nothing going on. Looks like something's in the road. I'm going to click again just to make sure I get a score. It's always about getting a score, not about seeing the problem. Again, look as far as you can see into the bend from left to right, right to left, because road signs are on the pavement. In this case, on the edge of the hedge. Can't see around the bend, so I'm going to click on that just in case. Always a what if something's around there. Again, another bend just in case. What if? Like a long video. Nothing else is going on, so no need to click. 5 out of 5. Just show you that I'm not cheating. So you can close this down. There you go. Eventually 5 out of 5. Review it back. Always review to see if you can improve. Obviously, I can't improve 5 and 5, but I want to make sure I got in the right place. So that's when they said I could have clicked at that point and start the 5. And I probably could have clicked sooner. I still got 5, but just before the 4. They'll always give you the highest mark. So the second one's landed in the 3 based on that. So they'll always give the highest mark. There's no benefit in clicking once, in my opinion. You click twice. Click for the problem, count 1, 2, and click again. And I even went for a third one just to make sure I get a score. Like I said, it's about getting a score. So I went for a third click just in case, because I thought I messed up on it. And I got a 2 for that one. And that's how it works. Okay, let me just see if there's any comments on that. Richard, good morning to you. I'm yet to register for the theory test. I would want to find out, does the test constitute only the 50 theory? Test constitute only the 50 theory questions. There's a lot more than 50 questions to choose from. So I'm not sure what context you're asking the question in, but let me try to answer it anyway. The theory test is in 2 parts. It's only theory test questions and has a perception. So it's 2 parts. Theory test questions, has perception questions. It is 50 theory test questions, but they have, when I say they, the DVSA who set the questions, their database is from 12 to 1500 questions they got to choose from. On the apps, it's only 770 something questions. It's been expanded because the new ADAS questions, but you're only going to get 50 from their database of 1200 to 1500 questions. And the hazard perception is 14 videos you're going to get. So hopefully that answers your questions. Thanks, and I'm not sure if that's ready to me. Oh yes, it is. Thanks for your help and time. Good to see you next week. No problem. Has to take care. Double clicks is a trick. There you go. So like I said, I would go for 2 clicks. Someone asked me, I'll tell you what, let me do something if I can find it. You are allowed a lot of clicks on it, but it's not something that's necessary. I don't know if I can find it. Let's do this one. Right, so iPad. I'm going to click a lot more than I need to on this video, just to show you. But ideally, I'm going to do this video twice. So I'm going to click too many times, as in what I don't need to click on, and show you how it should look when you click on the right stuff. So I can see the cyclist. The car in front is braking, slowing down. Your car in front is signaling right. Car's coming from the side road. Bus is signaling. Car's parked up and the cyclist. Cyclist is moving out. Cyclist has crossed the white line onto my side of the road. Okay, I'm now looking all the way down the road at the bus. Bus has got a signal. Right, 5 out of 5. So that's a lot of clicks. And it still didn't kick me out. But it's not something I would want to do on my real test, by the way. Didn't let me review it back. It's a shame. Let me do it again. It didn't let me review it back. I don't know why. All right, let me show you how it should be done. Cancel. So there's a lot of clicks on that one. So cyclist I can see definitely. The car is signaling. Bus is signaling. You got to ask yourself, why is the bus signaling? Now you can see the reason why. It says the cyclist. So I'm going to click for the cyclist. And then just make sure I got a score. And that's going to be my lot. So I don't know how many clicks was on the last video because it didn't give me a chance to count it. But this is 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 clicks as opposed to almost 20 clicks on the last one. And this is 4 out of 5. And that's what I'm trying to say to you. As long as you click on things that exist, you ain't got a problem. But you shouldn't be worrying about how many times you click, if that makes sense. Whether you're going to click too many or too little. So there you go with that. So hopefully that makes sense to you guys. Let me see if there's any comments on that. If it doesn't make sense, put it in the chat and let me know. So double click is the logic. He's passed his test. Thank you and have a good... Hopefully you can find a test date. But don't forget, if you're around tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock in the morning, Don't be afraid to jump on the DVSA website, see if you can get a test day. Right, I don't see no comments coming up on that. Has perception. I'll do one more, a real life clip. Not real life, sorry, the CGI ones. I don't see any comments on there. All right, let me just do another one just to make sure. I don't even know which one to choose. They've got 5 stars. Let's do this one. Oh, you can't see it. So again, looking ahead, cars, something's in the road. So keep going just in case it's your double, just because it's actually caused me to stop. So that one I should get marked on, but you never know if there's going to be a double, so keep going. Looking way, way ahead up the road, side to side, left to right. There's nothing for me to click on because all the cars on the other side of the white line. Got the van part up on the right. It doesn't affect me at this point. Zebra crossing. Someone's walking nearby. I'm going to go for a third one just to make sure I get a score. Four out of 5. Always review to see how you can improve. So it was the first one that gave me the problem. So what they're saying is I could have clicked here. Maybe if I didn't have to switch screen, I could have got that one. But that's where I could have clicked to get a 5. But I've got 4. 2 clicks to make sure. I think I went for a third one just to make sure. Remember, it's about you getting a score, nothing else. You can see the hazard all day long. But if you're going to get a 0 for it, it means nothing. So make sure you get a score. And just to show you, just speed up a little bit, the zebra crossing one could have been easily a double one. That's why you keep going. That could have been a double. All right, let me see if you guys have got any comments on that. Pass 46 out of 50. Congratulations. 61 out of 75. Well done to you on the hazard perception. No problem. You're welcome. Thank you for coming to the live. Let me know. And Adebola saying it makes a lot of sense. Yeah, like I said, with the hazard perception, as long as you understand what a hazard is something that's going to cause you to slow down or change direction. That's the problem. And then you just click and you literally click and you count 1, 2, and you click again. But remember, if you have to go for a third click, just in case you think you've messed up and didn't get a score, go for it. Doesn't make a difference. But if you click on things that exist, it will never add up to too many. But like I said, if you click on things that don't exist, that's not there, no chance of slowing down, no chance of changing direction, it's going to add up to too many clicks and they may kick you out and then tell you at the end of the video you clicked in an unacceptable manner. If that happens, don't freak out. You can still pass your theory test with a couple of zeros on there. You just have to get 5s and 4s and a nice 8 or 9 on your double to bring that average back up. But it's all, to be fair, it's all about the questions, because a hazard is a hazard regardless of what video they show you. The questions, you don't know what question you're going to get, whether you've seen it before, whether it's worded differently. You have to work out the safest option on that. So I don't see any more questions or comments coming up, so I'm going to leave it there for this weekend. Thank you for the time. Sorry for the mess up at the beginning of the stream, but that's a YouTube thing. It's not necessarily me. And have a safe week. Good luck for those of you that's got your test coming up this week. And I will see you next Sunday. Stay safe, which is the most important thing. See you guys.